various aspects. At the outset, we have the honor of welcoming President Professor Dr. Ragab, the current President of ICID. Dr. Ragab is a professor, fellow principal hydrologist and water resources management specialist, UK Centre for Hydrology, Wallingford, Oxfordshire, UK. He is also having honorary capacity professors in various other institutions. He has been involved in the ICID since very long time. He has been actively involved in various working groups as well as other major technical activities since 1997. And he has a very large contribution to make to the field of irrigation and drainage in terms of 32 papers published in ICID journal and two very key software packages. One SaltMed 2019, which is an integrated management tool for management of water, crop, soil and nitrogen fertilizers, and another integrated hydrological modeling system for catchment scale, also available. Both these packages are available at ICID website. He has organized a number of ICID workshops and international meetings and guided a number of doctoral students. His contribution in the academic and research field has been very large and very difficult to compress in a very short while. I now invite Dr. Ragab to give his welcome address. Dr. Ragab, please.
Thank you, Secretary General, for your kind and generous introduction. Excellencies, dignitaries, representative of national and international organizations, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world. It's a great honor for me to be with you today to celebrate the 72nd Foundation Day. And I'll try to give you a short presentation about ICID, and I'll try to share the screen with you. The ICID, International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, was established in 1950, but in reality, the establishment started in 1946, and officially it was declared as organization in 1950, and it was at the forefront of the Green Revolution following the World War II. The International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage is a leading scientific, technical, and professional not-for-profit international organization working in the field of irrigation, drainage, and flood management to promote and achieve sustainable agricultural water management, which is the subject of today. As a knowledge-sharing platform, ICID is dedicated towards improving the status of agricultural water management practices, including rain-fed agriculture, supplemental irrigation, depth irrigation, and full irrigation. ICID other core activities focus on drainage, agricultural lands management of extreme climate events such as flood and drought. ICID carries its activities through its permanent committees, working groups, and task forces. The International Commission of Irrigation and Drainage, when established in 1950, was at the forefront in the Green Revolution after World War II and actually contributed significantly to that effect. The ICID actively contribute to various global dialogues and initiatives, such as the World Water Fora, World Water Development Reports, and more to ensure that agricultural water management practices are undertaken within overall framework of integrated water resources management to achieve the overall aim of sustainable development, aligning with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, especially the goals that's number 2 and 3, 6, number 12, 13, and 15. A quite good number of the Sustainable Development Goals. The ICID is an organization with a vision for the future. ICID moves with time and ahead of time. It has developed a vision 2030, water resources, food world. And
Di siya mo tumunog.
Kayo lang hinihintay namin.
Ay, o dito na. Muna ka.
there is a noise in
I
the
would
background.
request all others to keep their.
There is quite noise in the background. I hear that kids in the background.
Ilan tayo? Ilang Len? Nine. Haba?
Hello, I hear noise in the background. Now I'll continue. ICID is an organization with vision for the future. ICID moves with time and ahead of time. It has developed a vision 2030, water secure world free of poverty and hunger through sustainable rural development, and produced a plan on how to implement this vision through its activities. In recognition of the need for better equipped future generation of practitioners, ICID has established global young professionals, professional groups now, about more than 4,000 young professionals to be trained and mentored by ICID seniors. This recognition for the young professional needs for their career development is a very unique to ICID as caring and sharing organization. Although the ICID has been established primarily for irrigation and drainage, it has moved with time and it became more dynamic. It takes on pressing issues when they arise, such as climate change and extreme events of flood and drought, non-conventional water resources, water governance, water food energy nexus, water and food security, biofuel, the environmental impacts of irrigation and drainage, and more. Some of the ICID achievements, which are really numerous, but I will just list few of many. ICID should look back with pride and content of its achievements over 72 years of existence. ICID presently has over 100 members countries and represents 90% of the irrigated area of the world. It covers 18 wide areas of technical activities ranging from irrigation and drainage to climate change and water food energy nexus. For each activity, there is a working group to plan and to deliver on these activities. ICID established an awarding system to acknowledge the individual achievements, and so established internationally well-known peer-reviewed journal, Irrigation and Drainage, with Wiley as well-known publisher. Also established regional groups for the world continents and established an excellent dissemination knowledge system, online and web-based. And it is really remarkable that ICID contributes to so many of the Sustainable Development Goals, and most importantly, number 2, aiming at zero hunger, number 6, clean water, and climate change, number 13, and so many really areas of that. And if you look at this diagram, the water is at the heart of most of these sustainable goals, where actually ICID is contributing significantly, being really custodian of the water aspect. And we have so many pressures on actually water resources. And this is due to the population increase that would increase demand for food, diet changing, greater demand for thirsty crops, meat and dairy products, especially in Asia now. There is more appetite for more dairy and meat products, and increased demand out of season crops. We have now melons, strawberries over the year, and it's a great use of the blue water and high blue water demand. And also there is changing climate with more frequent drought events. The last one we experienced here in the UK was 2018, is not that far from now, and increased demand for biofuel crops, which is in competition with the food for using water resources. And And looking at these pictures as well, it shows that we actually increased in our consumption of food. And looking at what actually I saw in temples in Egypt and in Greece, and I could see actually our ancient populations were a lot slimmer, apparently eating less and more active than us nowadays. And that would actually, the fact that we are the way we are now, it means that we are really consuming more food than we are supposed to. And that would put pressure on water. And that reminds me with what Mahatma Gandhi said, there's enough on this planet for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. And that's actually reminds me with what FAO and the UN mentioned, if population increasing from 6 to 9 billion by 2050, this is 50% increase. Why should we actually double the amount of food that we need now? Are we eating too much? Are we wasting too much? There is something here that we have to understand and to work on. And if we look really over the years, this is 100 years consumption of water, and in parallel to population, you can see there's a parallel increase in water abstraction with the increase of population, and also with increase of number of calories and the grain production with the increase of population from 2.5 billion in 1950 to 2050 9.2. We expect to have that increase, which is doubling the food that we need to feed 9.2 billion. And the challenges by 2050, that in addition to the increase to 9.2 billion, we have about 30% of irrigated lands are degraded already, and that will increase further. So we are having really less land and less water to feed more people in the future. Water use expected also to increase by 50%, and we cannot really increase the water supplies by 50% either. Climate change predicted increase vulnerability of agricultural sector in most of developing countries. So all these issues and the challenges, it needs science-based options to address these challenges. And water security requires solutions such as rainfall harvesting, use of non-conventional water resources, such as agricultural drainage water, saline breakage, and treated wastewater. It will also require increasing water use efficiency and productivity, minimizing losses by evaporation from water bodies and open canals, the use of modern efficient irrigation systems and sensors to accurately determine the irrigation water requirements or precision irrigation and agriculture, use accounting system as Chris Perry recommended. I should mention that today to you, will help to identify and quantify the resources for better management. Water policies and guidelines are needed to safe use of non-conventional water resources to safeguard the environment. Changes in rainfall amount, duration, timing, and the frequency, as well as changing in temperature, evaporation, and the frequent occurrence of extreme events such as drought and the flood, need short, medium, and long-term plans to cope with climate change impact on water security. We also need to adopt a holistic approach of water, energy, food nexus as a holistic vision of sustainability that recognizes and tries to strike balance between the different goals, interests, and needs of people and environment. The pressure to adopt the nexus is that we have possible increase in global energy by 30% and the global food resource by 40%. And by 2030, we expected to have a 40% overall gap between water supply, demand, and as expected. So we have now moved from more crop per drop to a new paradigm and under the nexus, and it should take into account the energy, and it should be more crop per drop per kilowatt per unit area of land. And when we talk about sustainability, and a lot of people, they don't link sustainability to time span. And water resources really is something that we need to put time span and put a period on for how long that sustainability. And here I put that slide to say sustainability is not for eternity. It has a time span. It has sustainability is associated with management of water resource, not the resource itself, as there is a doubt on the existence of sustainable or eternal water resource. And the longer the time span is, the more uncertainty you have. And in our case here in the UK, prediction of the rainfall for longer time always carries uncertainty level, and even the broadcasting of the rainfall within a week, it has also uncertainty. So we have to be careful when we talk about sustainable management, and we have to specify for which time period. And there is a lot of studies telling us there are rivers here. They have been running dry, and example here, 8 rivers they could actually run dry by in the next 100 years, and some of them are Murray-Darling, Australia, Los Angeles, Yellow River, Colorado, Indus, the river. All these rivers are listed as vulnerable. 8 rivers they might run dry in the next 100 years. And also there is a study in McGill University in Canada. They say about 51 to 6% of rivers they stop flowing periodically and for a time of the year. And also there is some other studies by archaeologists. They tell us there were actually so many rivers in the Sahara Desert, and now they are buried under the sand. So sustainability here that tells us that we need to be careful with the time that it is associated with, because we have seen already some rivers disappeared over the history, and some rivers they experience drier period. And I have here river next where I live in Oxfordshire. It comes and it goes. One season you find it running, and sometimes you find the river is just bone dry. And also, whatever we do with the management or sustainable management, we need to keep in mind the balance between food, water, and environment security. And environment in particular, sometimes we don't give it enough attention in our way to increase the food. But we have really to be careful to keep in mind environmental security when we increase our food security. And also, I would encourage the simplification of the results and outputs of ICID and similar organization to make it simple and accessible to farmers. All these farmers here in the picture from different parts of the world, they have one thing in common. All of them, they use a mobile phone, and none of them is seen with a laptop or desktop, but all of them actually they have mobile in hands. So if we actually going forward to help farmers, I would suggest that we try to make our results and our output in mobile apps that's actually straight to the farmers in his field or her field, and can make use of the information we produce to all of them. And this is here example we did in the UK, like My Soil, and where the farmers can see by simply clicking on the location of his farm, all the properties, and in terms of physical properties or nutrients level or fertilizers need, and so on his farm. And also you could send a sample to a lab nearby you if really you wanted to make sure that your soil is healthy and has no deficiency in fertilizer and nutrients. So we need really to move forward in the years to come to help directly the farmers by giving our output another shape or another way of communication to the farmers by making good use of the current mobile apps. And thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, President Ragab, and thanks very much for a very enlightening presentation. Now, before we start the next presentation, I have a request to make to all the participants that if you can kindly keep your video and mic off while muting and stop sharing your screens so that we are in a position to listen to the I would also request sharing his screen so that we can bring in the next speaker. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ragab. And now we have the next speaker, Dr. Ashok Dalwai. He is the Chief Executive National Rainfed Area Authority of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. And he has served in different capacities in both field and policy formulation stages in various states like Odisha, Karnataka, etc. He is a very keen student of agricultural sciences and agricultural economics, and he has a very strong and very learned views on various key aspects of agriculture and water management. He has been working at various capacities in the district administration, in the urban management, and also in the water management areas. And he is presently looking after the key issue of making the rainfed areas sustainable by taking in various means. So now I'll invite Dr. Dalwai to make a presentation, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible clearly because I wasn't able to hear all of you very clearly. I move forward. President of the event, Dr. Ragab. My keynote speaker, Dr. S.K. Haldar, Dr. Dan Alluf, the Secretary General ICID, Engineer Ashwin Pandya, the participants at home and abroad, all the fellow participants, friends from the media, thank you very much for inviting me to this international conference on a very critical input, that is water. On this 72nd Foundation Day of the ICID, the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, I congratulate the founders and the management that has sustained this important organization through the last 71 years and contributed immensely to the water management in the agriculture domain across the world. On this day, I wish you all the very best, and your role is going to assume more important spotlight given the fact that new challenges have emerged and they are expected to get only more complex. You have asked me to speak on sustainability of agricultural water management under difficult circumstances. The President has given us a very broad and very useful overview of water, agriculture, and society at large as it exists today, as it has evolved, and it is expected to evolve over the next decades. What I would do is to focus more on India-centric approach to water management and agriculture, given the fact that as a tropical country, the climate change is going to impact tropical and subtropical climates much more than temperate climates. In all probability, the temperate climate countries may stand to benefit from the rising temperature on account of climate change, whereas those which today are lucky in the tropical and the subtropical climates with increasing temperature may face greater negative impact on the production system. So when you talk about difficult circumstances, what I can describe them or ascribe certain characteristics to this particular circumstance by saying that the important factor is the status of water availability. That is posing and will pose a greater challenge. Then the agriculture sector itself in both Asian and African countries will continue to be the dominant domain of livelihood options and incomes for large number of farmers. And therefore, that is going to throw up a challenge and add to the complexity of the context that we're talking about. Climate change, of course, is very well known. There's a changing temperature, changing rainfall pattern, and possible changing intensity, and the concentrations of carbon dioxide are going to impact agriculture in different ways across the world. But that's going to make the circumstance much more complex. And of course, more importantly, as the nature of economic structure changes, there will be competing demands for water from other sectors of the economy, including industry, infrastructure, urban management, etc., and agriculture, which is today the main source of water use across the world, will come under stress. We're all aware that the use ratio of water in agriculture across the world is 70%, whereas in countries like India and other African countries it goes more than 80%, which only implies that we in agriculture sector will be required not only to use water more efficiently, but also release some surpluses saved thereof by water use efficiency for other sectors of the economy. The principle of water use efficiency in agriculture should be based on three things: efficiency, equitability, and sustainability. These three should be guiding the technology evolution, the management practices, and the general perception among the people. Now in India, if you look at the complexity, the source of complexity comes from the available status of water itself. Given the fact that in India, we host 18% of the human population on Earth, 15% of the cattle population on Earth, but we are privy and we are hosting just 4% of the total water availability on Earth. That's the kind of disproportional relationship between water availability and the water demand. We have 4,000 billion cubic meters of precipitation that comes from monsoons and snowfall, of which around 1,800 billion cubic meter is what is available for use, but what is utilizable is around 1150 billion cubic meters. So that is a sharp drop from 4,000 billion cubic meters to around 1,200 billion cubic meters. Of this, surface water is around 690 billion cubic meters, and 433 billion cubic meters accounts for by the groundwater. The unfortunate thing is, the studies show us that by 2025 and 2050, the demand for water, both in agriculture sector as also other sectors like energy, industry, is going to increase multifold. At least it is going to be the demand by 2025 and certainly by 2050 is going to be much more than the total water that can be utilized. So that throws us a challenge. And given the fact that on the supply side, water being inelastic, rather it may be under greater stress and we may not have even this quantum of water assessed as utilizable, we will be always falling short of water. The only option therefore left for us is, I hope I'm heard, okay. The only option left for us is to look at the demand side of the water and see how we can actually achieve the efficiency and meet the increasing demand. So on the supply side, of course, there are several factors. I would not go into them for want of time and confine myself to the demand side management of water and agriculture. And the strategy should always be that agriculture, which is already using 86% of the total available water or utilizable water, should be able to achieve efficiency, reduce its usage, and release water for other purposes. That has to be the overall strategy. So the first thing that I would like to talk about, therefore, on the demand side is to achieve water use efficiency through improved varieties. Now we require the plant breeders to deploy both their conventional breeding technology as also the genetically modified technology to achieve crops which are able to give us higher productivity for every single unit of water utilized. Even today, there is a huge discrepancy between the water productivity under the irrigated systems and the rainfed systems. Under the rainfed systems, there is a lot of scope actually to improve and catch up with the efficiency that is there in the irrigation system, which itself actually is not as efficient as it should be. So we need to depend upon the new technology. Though there is a lot of complex challenge regarding utilization of GM technology, I think there is scope for us to use the genome editing technology, which does not involve interspecies transfer of DNA, and therefore the ethical issue may not come, and the regulatory issues may also not throw such an obstacle, and we should be therefore talking about new varieties, new crops that actually can meet the new challenge. Rather than speak only about the new varieties, we should also be looking at new crops, and that's where the importance of biodiversity comes in. We have not been able to use entire biodiversity. We have not been able to use all the crops that may be of wild races. And so therefore, as the president was talking about a science-dependent, science-led agriculture for efficiency, we should be looking at new crops too, which can be actually brought in. The new crops can be brought in not necessarily for only food and fiber, but to produce the biomaterials, which also is one of the important mandate of agriculture. Agriculture is expected to produce food, fodder, fiber, and biomaterials to run a new biotechnology-based economy. The second one, of course, is to improve the water use efficiency. So far in India as elsewhere, the focus has been on the supply side. That means trying to utilize all the water available through construction of different irrigation structures, command areas, etc. But then from the demand side perspective, it is important that we achieve that efficiency so that equitability, that larger number of farmers are able to access the water source created. In India, where the micro irrigation system has made a good progress, today we have achieved around 12 million hectares of the total 141 million hectares of arable land and of around 84 million hectares brought under irrigation. That means the extent of coverage under micro irrigation is so small and we have a long way to go forward. Against the current 2 million hectares targeted every year, I would suggest that we should be looking at least 5 million hectares to be brought under micro irrigation over the period of time. Friends, micro irrigation can achieve higher productivity and higher efficiency in a range of 30 to 50% in its use. However, if we can combine micro irrigation with emerging technology, with localized sensors and Internet of Things, we'll be able to achieve still higher efficiency and then minimize the use of water under agriculture. So I would strongly suggest that as a national policy, as an international policy, it's very important that not just the micro irrigation system, which is in a way the gift of Israel to the world, but it should be combined with the emerging technologies. And concomitantly, I would also suggest that the use of micro irrigation has been mostly pivoted around setting up new systems. But then we see that as we move forward, the little maintenance has actually compromised the quality of the micro irrigations. So we need a very robust policy on maintenance of the micro irrigation systems as we move forward. Moving forward, let me also talk about the need to propagate protected agriculture. Now, protected agriculture, particularly in the domain of horticulture, has got popular, whether it's polyhouses or greenhouses or shade nets, along with, of course, the alternate technology like the aeroponics and the hydroponics. These are the new alternates that we should be able to focus in terms of research and development, in terms of cost cutting, and also imparting that new technology to the farmers across the world. So that is what is also going to achieve efficiency. And then more importantly, I think is a need for diversification. We know that water use efficiency between agronomic crops and horticultural crops differs. So can we now diversify agriculture purely from agronomic crops to horticulture plantations, etc., where we are able to achieve higher biomass and also byproducts in terms of foods and grains, etc. So the diversification is good not only from the perspective of water use, but it's also very good from the perspective of risk management at the farmers level, because the vulnerability is actually divided across the baskets. And then the one very well-known factor is climate change. What is climate change doing? It is well known already that it is actually causing a late onset and a late withdrawal. And then the rainfall is confined to 60 days or 65 days, which means that if we want to negotiate agriculture in terms of the changing climatic factors, we should be able to actually store water in a much more efficient manner and then ensure that it is made available to the crops at the critical stage of production. So it is very important that we deploy now invest money in creating large number of small irrigation structures which will be able to store and make it available when the rains withdraw. Friends, I think we have been all talking about agroecology based agriculture for a long time. Unfortunately, it is less practiced as spoken. The reason is agroecology based agriculture may not be in sync with the income expectations of farmers. The farmers tend to deviate from the agroecology only because they feel that commercial crops, for example, may fetch them better returns, or commercial crops like sugarcane or cotton are agro-industrial linked and therefore there is a fixed market. So this implies that if we want to promote agroecology based agriculture, not only should we be publicly promoting these technologies, but also develop a system of compensating the farmers with financial gaps that may arise because of the reduced incomes from the agroecology based agriculture systems. Not that it is bad, but then it will at least disincentivize the farmers from deviating, incentivize the farmers from being in harmony with agroecology. In India, for example, there are 121 agroecological regions, so it is necessary that the state agriculture universities within their respective domains are able to develop a package of practice in the production system which is in sync with agroecology, and the policies of the government, for example, the minimum support price, the procurement policy, the input subsidy, etc., are all redesigned to meet this new paradigm of agroecology based agriculture. And in this context, I would say that the procurement policy has to be redesigned in favor of the low water duty crops like pulses, oil seeds, and other kinds of cropping systems so that farmers are incentivized. And then eco-service compensation is very important. While some countries or some states within India have recognized that, but it has to become a general policy that I recognize your contribution to the ecological alignment and therefore I pay you and make up for your income loss that may have occurred. And then the soil is very important. The soil health, for example, which is nothing but a physical, chemical, and biological property, the soil organic carbon has started getting negatively impacted. For example, in India, the average has come down to 0.6%, and in some regions in arid and semi-arid zones, it is 0.3%. Even in heavily forested areas, it has come down from 5% that was there 50 years back. And without soil organic carbon, we can't have moisture holding capacity, we can't have infiltration, we can't have percolation, and therefore the groundwater recharge starts getting compromised. We need to recognize that the surface water and the groundwater are organically linked. Unless we treat both these components as integrated whole, and therefore the importance of the soil organic carbon to improve the microbial environment and improve the structure and texture of the soil. So I would suggest that on the lines of soil health cards, we need to now promote water health cards, so that soil health and water health together are actually going to serve the purpose of maintaining the soil moisture. And then this conservation agriculture, another thing that I would like to suggest, we are all aware that the answer to soil organic carbon rebuild is to promote natural farming, organic farming, etc. But then we don't have technology in terms of breeds, in terms of seeds, which actually are in sync with the these alternate agriculture systems. So the National Agriculture Research System or the World Agriculture Research System must now focus on giving us new varieties, new crops that actually will give us good yield in under the system of natural farming or organic farming. And then, of course, we have forgotten a lot of production systems like relay cropping, catch cropping, etc., which also help us in improving the water use efficiency, or agroforestry for that matter, intercropping for that matter. So we need to bring in all these new old systems. They're old systems, forgotten, now they become new systems for us. So we need to bring in all these things. The last point on the demand side I would like to suggest is the world over, wheat and paddy have come to dominate. They have the consumption, not just the production, but also consumption has become monochromatic. And therefore, as President was saying, from the time in the olden age when people were lean, where people were much smarter, today we have obese people only because they're consuming more of carbohydrates and possibly more of fat. But what about proteins? So we, through the public distribution system, have actually strengthened the monocropping system around paddy and wheat. It is very important that we now need to diversify not just the production system, but also the consumption plates so that people start consuming balanced food, vitamins, amino acids, minerals, proteins, and of course required fats along with the carbohydrates. So if this is to happen, which only means that production and consumption are interrelated, how does production impact consumption, and how does a government policy enable the consumption to impact the production? I think this is very important. So I think I've taken a lot of time. I know I now try to close it. So I was just telling you that if we want to look at the demand side, which is more important, we also need to ensure that this equation takes care of all the supply side. So the equation I would suggest that water sources, both groundwater and surface water, need to be looked at, and the use, that is the demand side and supply side balance, has to be done. So as a policy, I would suggest we need to involve the communities, whether it's water users association, participatory irrigation management, or enabling the gram panchayats in the villages and the districts to maintain a balance between what is the total water available in that district or in the village and how is it being utilized through a balance sheet. For example, can you have piezometers which will help the gram panchayats to measure continuously what is the groundwater, in what way they can actually balance things. So friends, I will stop it here for want of time. I've already overstepped and I can see the Secretary General looking at me, so I'll stop it here. Thank you very much, friends. It is a very important initiative that you've all taken, and I'm sure that all of us would benefit from the discussions and the recommendations that will emerge from here. So thank you personally once again on my on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, and also giving me this opportunity. The best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dalwai. It was a very comprehensive presentation. As usual, you always cover the whole spectrum of the issues, and that is the uniqueness about you. And thank you very much for bringing in various key issues to the fore. Now, I have Dr. R.K. Gupta, Member Design and Research, Central Water Commission, who is standing in for Mr. S.K. Haldar, Review Water Commission, who has been busy in some other important activities and who is not able to come. So I will invite Dr. R.K. Gupta, Member D&R, to make the presentation. Dr. R.K. Gupta is an eminent designer and also a very knowledgeable person in the interstate and interstate water management, and he has been working on the overall interstate water management for quite some time in the recent past. I would request Dr. R.K. Gupta to give his presentation in about 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Pandya, Secretary General of ICID. First of all, I am thankful for giving the opportunity in this wonderful webinar on sustainability of agricultural water management under difficult circumstances. And I will be giving this presentation on behalf of my chairman, Central Water Commission. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, again, my congratulations and best wishes on the 72nd Foundation Day of ICID. I will be giving this presentation on Indian water resource scenario, and I will also be talking about various initiatives and policies which the Government of India has undertaken for agricultural water sustainability. If we look at sustainable development goals, out of 17 sustainable development goals, goal number 2, 6, 7, and 13 talk very much about water, and they are interlinked with the water sector altogether. In sustainable development goal number 6, which was earlier focusing only on drinking water and sanitation, now talks about integrated water resource management also. If we go towards India's water resource scenario, we have about 17% of world's population, but there is a great pressure on water and land, as our water share is only 4% and land share is only 2.4%. This has put a great pressure on meeting the demand of food and providing food security in India. As our earlier speaker, Mr. Ashok, has pointed out, that our surface water and groundwater availability, utilizable water availability, is only 690 BCM and 432 BCM. But the more importantly, I will say that this availability is characterized by high spatial and temporal variability. We have the places where we receive only 100 millimeter of rainfall, but we have also the places where we receive 11,000 millimeter of rainfall. So some part of India receives very high rainfall, and some part of India receives very less rainfall. And this rainfall availability is limited to very, very small period of monsoon. And in monsoon also, only few days receive high rainfall. So 70 to 80% of water availability in India is we get only in 28 to 30 days. So this put a great pressure on not only on water resource management, but on providing the water and food security. The projection on water demands says that we need a very high amount of water to have food and water security. And most of the water, about 70 to 80%, which we need is for irrigation. By 2025 and by 2050, we need about 600 and 800 billion cubic meter of water only for irrigation sector for providing food security. If we look at agricultural scenario in India, we are the second largest agricultural land holder in the world. But at the same time, agriculture plays a crucial role in ensuring the food security of the country as well as the prosperity of the country. Our agricultural sector provides 2/3 employment to the workforce. And we have around net irrigated area of 68 million hectares, which is, I think, one of the highest number in the world. If we look at water resources development scenario in the country, at the time 70 years back, the development of water resources was limited to only 16 billion cubic meter, but it has grown to about 258 billion cubic meter. There is a great jump in this development, and in past 70 years, many projects have come up which have provided this storage, and this has resulted in increase in net irrigated area and gross irrigated area to the tune of 3 to 4 times. And if we look at irrigation potential created in India, in the last 70 years, it has grown to about 6 times, from about 22 million hectares to 126.7 million hectares. This has all resulted due to fast development in the irrigation system in the country, which has contributed towards food security and development of food grains. The food grains in the country have increased over the past 70 years from 51 million tons to about 250 million tons. But the major challenges is still the development of water resources. If we look at supply side management, our per capita storage capacity is still very low, and it is very, very low if we see the other countries' storage capacities. So from supply side, our per capita storage capacity has to be increased. The other major challenges the agricultural water management sector is facing is that our irrigated agricultural consumes about 70 to 80% of the total freshwater resource. The great challenge is the hydrology of the country. The challenge of significant spatial and temporal variation of precipitation is a great challenge for us. Insufficient per capita storage, as I talked earlier, is also a great challenge. The most importantly, conventional ways of irrigation practiced by majority farmers is still going on. So we have very low water use efficiency, which has to be increased. And this is a major challenge for us in agricultural water management sector. Another point is overexploitation of groundwater in many regions, which has depleted the groundwater table very much. And above all, poor standards of operation and maintenance of irrigation infrastructure is also a great challenge. So way forward for meeting the sustainable agricultural water management is twofold. We need interventions on supply side as well as interventions on demand side. Our National Water Policy of 2012 prescribes that the anticipated increase in variability in availability of water resources of climate change should be dealt by increasing water storage in its various forms. In this regard, development of water resource infrastructure has been given very high importance. So a storage capacity has to be increased to meet the challenges. Various schemes are there. Government has taken many initiatives and they are supporting the state governments in the form of technical economic support, as well as Government of India has launched many schemes such as PMKSY, AIBP, Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Programs, Command Area Development Programs, etc. Above all, for sustainable infrastructure development of these schemes, drip program, dam rehabilitation and improvement project was launched way back so that our irrigation infrastructure remains sustainable over the period of time. The quantity of utilizable water can further be increased through non-conventional approaches. In India, we have, as I pointed out, we have spatial and temporal variability of water availability. So we have to have interbasin transfer of water from surplus to deficit basins wherever feasible. Above all, we need recycling and reuse of wastewater, desalination of saline water, and artificial recharge of groundwater. The main components of the government initiative in PMKSY scheme are two programs like Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program, which talks about completion of 99 projects which are already being constructed and are towards completion. And there are few schemes, field schemes, like Command Area Development and Water Management Scheme, RRR, Renovation, Restoration and Repair of Water Bodies, which has been launched. Other scheme is Per Drop More Crop scheme, which talks about development and enhancement of micro irrigation. The main objectives of all these schemes is to improve the farm water use efficiency, along with use of new technologies, and to strengthen participatory irrigation management through formation of water user associations and coverage, more and more coverage through micro irrigation. Under accelerated irrigation benefit programs, we have taken 99 projects, out of which 44 has been completed. And in this program, pipe distribution network has been increased a lot. This has increased the efficiency, and the per drop productivity has been increased. If we talk about DRIP program, dam rehabilitation and improvement program, this has increased the sustainability and life of our infrastructure. In DRIP phase 1, which has completed in March 21, about 223 projects of India have were taken, and they were rehabilitated and life was accelerated, life was extended. In this program, not only the rehabilitation work was carried out, but institutional strengthening was also the major objective. Now we are starting DRIP phase 2 and phase 3 very soon, in which about 19 states and 3 central agencies are taking part, and we will cover more than 700 dams of India. Considering the water scenario of India, which is very challenging because of spatial and temporal variation, Government of India has formulated National Prospective Plan for Water Resource Development, and in which interbasin transfer of water has been given a prime importance. In this National Prospective Plan, we have identified 14 major links in peninsular, in Himalayan rivers, and 16 links in peninsular rivers. Apart from these major links, there are various inter-state links proposals in various states. If we implement these interbasin water transfer schemes, then our additional irrigation area will be about 35 million hectares. So this is required to meet the water and food security, considering the variability in availability of water resources in the country. These schemes are under progress, and one major link is being MOU for one major link, Kane-Betwa link, has been signed and will be starting soon. If we talk about interventions on demand sides, we have to improve the water use efficiency, which is the thrust area under a national water mission. And in this, we have the target of about increasing the water use efficiency by 20%. So our key identified strategies for achieving this goal are incentivizing recycling of water, including wastewater, by promoting water efficient techniques and technologies. And we have to promote water regulatory authorities for ensuring equitable water distribution and rational charges for water facilities. Promotion of mandatory water audit, including those for drinking water purpose, is also our key strategy, so that equitable water distribution is there and wastage can be reduced. Adequate provision for operation and maintenance of water resource projects is also there. Enhancement of irrigation water use efficiency is very much required in India, because our 70 to 80% of water is used for irrigation purpose. If we increase the water efficiency for a small amount, then we will save a large amount of water and this will increase the food production and will lead to food security of the country. This can be achieved by many ways.
Dr. Gupta.
Yes, sir. Yeah, next. Other issues which are related to sustainability of agricultural water management are the changing in cropping pattern required based on the water resource availability and based on the agroclimatic conditions. CWC, Central Water Commission, has published many guidelines and many reports for this purpose. Another area which is very much required, apart from water use efficiency increase, is to have a trade-off between intersectoral, inter-regional uses to maximize productivity per unit of water consumed. We are also doing weekly monitoring of live storage capacities and we are issuing advisories for optimum utilization of stored water, as in greater importance for mitigation of crop distress situations. In the last, I will say that in view of the existing constraints and complexities, sustainable water management in agriculture can only be achieved if we look at the water sector holistically and understand it and manage it properly. Sustainability in this sector is possible by providing incentives for using modern technologies, reforms, and accountability. In order to ensure optimum, this is wrong optional, optimum utilization of available water resources and to manage growing water scarcity, we must look into both supply side and demand side interventions. Still, we need focus on both side interventions, as our supply side is still not fulfilled without considering the demand. It is not fulfilled properly, fully, and demand side interventions are very much required to increase the efficiency and productivity. With faster decline per capita availability of water, utilization in all diverse use of water should be optimized, and an awareness of water as a scarce resource should be fostered. But it will go a long way still in ensuring sustainability in irrigation water. We are on the way, but still time will take. In the end, I will congratulate the fraternity of irrigation and drainage, and I extend my best wishes on the occasion of 72nd Vocation Day. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. And incidentally, today is also the Foundation Day of the Indian National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage as well. So, the congratulations are mutual.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For a comprehensive presentation. Now we have a minor change in the program because our Australian friends from our Australian National Committee, for them the timing is becoming very late. So we are trying to advance them to as the next speaker so that they can reasonably make a presentation and we don't encroach on their nighttime rest. So I will invite Mr. Momir Vranes. He is the chairman of Australian National Committee to make a brief presentation on the sustainability of agriculture and water management, keeping ahead. So I will invite Dr. Vranes for the presentation, please.
Thank you, Ms. Panja. I hope you hear me well.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to share the screen with the colleagues. Somehow I'm not managing. When I press.
You can request for a control so that the control will be transferred to you.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, Dr.
Start.
Please close your screen.
Yeah, now it's.
I have,
Now you can. Okay, now Momir, you can share your screen.
right. Right. I have clicked on the screen sharing.
We can see.
You can go for slideshow mode, presentation mode.
Yes, I will start. Okay. Good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to share our Australian experience. I really would like to acknowledge a very interesting talk that we heard from a presentation from Dr. Ragab, Mr. Dalwai, and Dr. Gupta, and my colleagues, and in the National Committee, Australian National Committee for Irrigation and Drainage, have together with me compiled a brief presentation. We were going for 5 minutes, and knowing how, being aware how complex this whole issue is, we have done it in a way that it is a series of discussion points. But I'm not sure. Can participants see the presentation on the screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Okay, right. Basically, in 2 words, the strategy of agricultural water management in Australia can be summarized in 2 words. We try to keep ahead, and in that sense, we are very much actually following the question 62 and 63 for the next ICID conference, namely going the last mile. So we are trying to work that we sort of give this last push the last mile in respect of policy development, in respect of training. We accept modern technology, and we try to make the interaction between the clients and users. In this sense, we very much work hand in hand with our Center of Irrigation Excellence. Here on the screen, there is a web site. This is a sort of an institution which is within our Irrigation Australia Limited.
Dr. Momir, we have lost your presentation.
Did you? Lost?
Yeah, I think you have to again share the screen.
Is it better now?
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay. So there is the address, web address of the Center of Irrigation Excellence. And we are trying to bring together researchers, the policymakers, regulators, to try to bring new waves of thinking for quite some time now. Now, one could ask, how do we actually consider this going last mile? And knowing that actually, as we go, there is always a mile beyond. This is by adopting the dynamic approach. So we try to evaluate the status quo. We try to evaluate here and now, and we try to implement the actions that are best for the moment. But knowing that the dynamics of the processes which we cannot control, such as climate, are sometimes erratic, then we try to develop ability to anticipate these trends and effects. We are very aware that there will be always difficult circumstances, and we try to work out on this best action possible on the basis of the hindsight and looking in front. I hope I'm not too muddy for you. Talking about difficult circumstances in Australia, we have experienced very severe effects of climate change. We had floods, very severe floods this year. Last year we had fires. We had 10 years of drought and so on. So we really need to be prepared for every possible scenario. one specific difficulty that Australian farmers are facing is very often remoteness and difficulties communication, because there are many farmers who are located in the outback and where there is no communication available, the mobile or even there's hundreds of kilometers away. What we have already heard by Dr. Ragab and already by Mr. Dalwai, we are very well aware that we need to balance the requirement for feeding the growing population in the world, and at the same time we want to return the polluted drainage water back into this pristine quality or into previous glory. I'm very glad to have heard that we really share this common attitude. So in Australia case, specifically what we do, which is specific for our circumstances and history, is we are trying to develop plans for water sharing. That is about 25 years, and that is a step above from the water trading that we have. At the moment, we have a very interesting initiative where we cap diversions of Murray-Darling Basin, and we are, for the time being, at least fortunate to have government support in enforcing the safeguards ahead of profits. I mean, namely, the government maintains a fund that is trading into water and using this water as environmental support. So not just for sale. So safeguards rather than profit. I would like to point out, I have forgotten to roll the slides. I would like to point out this web address, which is on the screen, hopefully info@irrigation.org.au. So I would like to encourage all our colleagues, present, whoever is interested to hear a little more details about what I have very briefly tried to just put in a form of few bullet points. Please send us questions, and we are very happy, our little national committee, to organize a proper answer and even a meeting and teleconference if necessary, if you find some of those points interesting for you. With that, I would like to again thank you once again for being able to share this brief presentation and to congratulate on this anniversary. And as far as I can see, it's about 250 participants just at the moment, which is tremendous success, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Momir, and I would request you to kindly release the screen share so that then we will go for the next speaker. Again, we have to make a slight change because Mr. Dan Alluf, Councillor Meshev, he has intimated that he has got a meeting and he will have to leave soon. So before he leaves, we would like to hear from him. I will introduce Dr. Dan Alluf. He is a Councillor Meshev, heading the Agriculture and Water Management Systems at Embassy of Israel in India and Sri Lanka. And he has 17 years of managerial experience in public and private sector across global markets. He holds a degree in Master of Business Administration and Plant Science, a graduate, and he is a team leader of Agriculture Israel-India government-to-government cooperation. He has been a very keen follower and a person who gives us very valuable inputs. So we are very eager to hear from him.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I hope you can hear me fine.
Yes.
My presentation is uploading, so I imagine it will take a few seconds. In the meanwhile, I will introduce for inviting me to this session. As my previous speakers were requested, I too would suggest that everybody would put himself on so we can hear each other in a good quality manner. Just tell me when I can start the presentation. Can I initiate?
Please continue.
Thank you. So I would initiate the discussion with giving a background about Israeli capabilities in agriculture and water in the aspect of water management under difficult circumstances. When we think about Israel, many of us can foresee these type of landscapes. Israel is majority desert, and drip irrigation was invented in Israel, enabling us to achieve really the optimal water use efficiency, but not only because these water pipes can also transport our nutrients to the plant. So this is Israel in a picture. But Israel is a world leader in advanced agriculture and water management because it is succeeding to look at the aspect of water challenge from a comprehensive approach. So we are working under harsh climatic conditions and scarcity of water and achieving premium agriculture product because we look at it from policy, implementation, and innovation and technology aspect. So when we look about Israel comprehensively, we can talk about these 7 baskets, which are, I consider them as a first approach that all work together. So definitely today we are focusing on water in today's panel, but we cannot detach it from post-harvest varieties, fertilizer, of course, water solution, but precision agriculture also, greenhouse technology, and agricultural machinery. In addition to this, we have 2 more baskets that I think partly because of COVID-19, but also because the world is moving ahead, marketing and digital agriculture must be together. And the last is the ability to integrate. And all of these baskets, now when we take a step back and look at this triangle of expertise, all of them are interlinked, meaning water solution cannot be justified if we don't look at agriculture from the aspect of all of these angles. So this is the first part. When we look at Israeli agriculture, I will not go deep into it, but most of agriculture is in the hands of 2 types of villages. One is kibbutz, which is a commune village. All community is owning the same farm. Therefore, in the kibbutz, the farm is large scale and very advanced and very intensive. The moshav is a second type of farming commune that we have. And there, every family has its own plot, which is actually a small farm holder. So we have these 2 types, but in both of them, you can see the ability to innovate and to generate premium quality agriculture. Israel, as I said before, is in a semi-arid, arid climate zone, and it is a challenging climate zone. But also with the challenging climate zone, Israel succeeded to overcome the water challenge because it is today generating alternative water sources. So we have our natural resources, which are mostly from natural aquifers or one single lake we have in the north of Israel. But we today desalinate seawater, we desalinate brackish water, and we treat over 90% of our wastewater and reclaim it and reuse it for agricultural use. So today Israel has overcome the water challenge, and we have sufficient water for our water uses. When we talk about water solution, it is important to say that Israel succeeds because it is implementing policy, regulations, and laws, all in the hands of one body that is called the Water Authority. The second, it is increasing the water sources. This is more about implementing the policy. So we have a policy saying, let's generate alternative water sources, and we have one body that is implementing and creating a policy into a reality. The third part is optimizing water use efficiency. This is a big bag of innovation, of technology, of know-how that comes into play. And the last is we promote knowledge and awareness of the users. So if you're a farmer, you're aware of the cost of water because you pay for it. If you are a citizen drinking water, you get advertisements saying you should save water as much as you can, and so on. So when you have a look of Israel, you can see in key regions these type of reservoirs that carry the wastewater that is recycled and then moved into the field. Usually you will find these in the heart of the farming area, and it will of course be connected with an infrastructure to the cities because this is where the water comes from. We also have a language of recycling. So all the infrastructure that is dealing with reclaimed water, sewage water that has been purified and now is being used for irrigation uses for agriculture, it is all colored in this purple color, and then you can differentiate, and it is completely a parallel system to the drinking water. And then we keep the health of the citizens, and we have the ability to manage water in a very hands-on approach. When we talk about agriculture, so these water move into the field. Here you can see banana in a net house. By the fact we put banana under net, we reduce the water consumption by 20%. And this is one example of a technique that we use in Israel. This is a picture I took this morning of the banana orchard. You can see it has 3 drip lines because banana is a moving crop. Every season it has new plantations, so you need the 3 drip lines to move with the crop along the years. And a system head that really shows the ability, the brain of the system, accurate to the point with nutrients, with the ability to monitor the quality of water transportation. So this is what we have. I would say that the pillars are innovation, the ability to move knowledge to the hand of the farmer, to work together with the farmer. And when we have all of this working together, we have private sector, farmer and government working to the same direction and achieving the good end result of comprehensive sustainable water use. Another example is all of Israel is covered with weather stations. This data is online, real data that the farmer can approach through a ministry website and know how much to irrigate at every point. Our research is very much dynamic. Our ARO, Agriculture Research Organization, is really looking to develop solutions. So if you see this vineyard by bare eye, you cannot see much difference. But if you take a thermal image of the temperature of the canopy, then you can see the difference between an over-irrigated vineyard versus a less irrigated vineyard. And this is a tool to manage irrigation. So again, this is a teamwork. It's a farmer working together with the government, research, extension, and private sector. These are the approach that we are using in Israel. I would share a little bit about what it is that we do in India. So I am based in India for the last 7 years, leading our government-to-government cooperation. It is focusing on these 2 topics. One is an Indo-Israel agricultural project. The second is the Indo-Israel Villages of Excellence. When we talk about who are the stakeholders, the government of India, Ministry of Agriculture, is a leading partner. And we, Mashav, I'm representing Mashav, which is Israel's agency for international development cooperation. We work hand in hand in order to implement these centers of excellence. So in this picture, you can see a citrus center in Northeast India that is about advanced intensive agriculture, but tailored to the local conditions. So we generate knowledge in the centers. We demonstrate very hands-on best practices so farmers can get a feel of how it looks like in their climate, in their topography. And the last part, we move the knowledge with extension to the farmers. So what we aim is to benefit the local farmer. This is how we want to do. We want the farmer to profit more and out of producing better quality and more quality, and doing it with using our resources in an efficient manner. So across India, we work currently with 13 states. We have 4 states that joined the project now, and 6 more in the pipeline to join. And in these states, we have 42 centers of excellence, out of which 29 are fully active. We are very much focusing on training the trainers, so it's a very hands-on approach. We put in every center a nursery that generates plants. We have new varieties. We have precision agriculture in every center of excellence. So we have satellite imaging of an Israeli solution that takes an image of a center, gives us a plant wetness, a vegetation, evapotranspiration, and crop coefficient. And actually we translate the data into the local language and we deliver it to the farmers. It is important to say that 150,000 farmers are being trained in our centers every year. And within this training, we talk about drip, but we remind ourselves that drip is also nutrient delivery. So we have the NPK delivered with a dripper. We show it, we demonstrate it, we provide the protocol. So it is a very applicable approach that we take. We look at the full value chain. So we have also plant protection solution. We have packing houses. And we deal a lot with the training of this population and farmer community in the area. As a project, we have a 3-year time frame work program. So today in this 21-23 work program, we are focusing to do more in the centers, but we are now also initiating the implementation of our villages of excellence. And villages of excellence, this is the vision says we want to achieve a model ecosystem in agriculture that will be large scale enough so it can be duplicated later on. We want to increase the income of the farmer, and we want to transform agriculture from being traditional to being modern and intensive. We want it to be a complete value chain with Israeli technology, but tailored to local conditions. And the 3 layers are infrastructure, water infrastructure, machinery, packing houses, and all the things that will make change in terms of the hardware. Second way is capacity building. How do we move the knowledge to utilize the infrastructure? And the third is market linkage. How do we justify this investment by creating a new type of end-to-end with an end result of input and profit? We are looking into 8 states out of all of our project. So we selected 8 states, 13 centers that will support the activity, and 75 villages that will be selected as the 75 Indo-Israel villages of excellence. The third part, and this is my last part, is about what we do in water specifically. Water today is a strategic cooperation with India alongside agriculture. And when we talk about water, we are now looking at the Indo-Israel Bundelkhand water project. So this is going to be a large-scale model of a comprehensive water management approach. And Bundelkhand is really an area in Uttar Pradesh that is suffering from water scarcity. And we want to supply water to this region. We want a large-scale and complete value chain approach. We want the Israeli principles to be present there, but again, to tailor everything and never go into a copy-paste approach, because we believe the ability to find the solution that is really set to address the local challenge, then we will become a sustainable example of of this project. We want to concentrate the efforts, so we want to join together with the right stakeholders. We want a sustainable, stable water supply throughout the year for the farmer, a situation that today doesn't exist. We want a complete value chain, an end-to-end value chain that will display a holistic and comprehensive arena, and we want it to be a manageable size. So not too small, not too big, but definitely something that you can learn lessons from, and you can demonstrate technologies and see the justification of this investment. The project will be partly three-step project. One is how do we conserve the water that we do have in Bundelkhand? Second is how do we efficiently transport it from the water source to the farming arena? And thirdly, how do we do optimal water use efficiency with advanced technology in the farm level itself? We are looking at rain harvesting. We are looking at preserving the rain harvest, both in large and small reservoirs. We are considering to percolate the water underground. We want to show how efficient this can be compared to putting it on the ground surface reservoir. We will show the transportation to the field in again, a policy implementation and technology approach. And we will show how to manage water. So how do you actually manage water underground, on the ground? How do you do it as a state, as a region, as a village, and as a farmer? And of course, drip irrigation will come into play, but maybe not only, maybe we will use sprinklers so we can diversify and create a village, or we're looking at 25 to 30 villages. So all the region will have the diversity between open field, greenhouse, protected cultivation, orchards, and then we can use the solution for water accordingly. We will, of course, use different detailed planning. It is important to remind all of us that drip irrigation and any water solution technology must rely on hydrology, on detailed hydrology that will define how the water will move in terms of engineering. Secondly, installing based on the design. This is a very important point. And third is how do we irrigate, when and how much? So how do you turn the product of irrigation into a solution of irrigation? How do you train farmers to understand when and how much to irrigate? How do you evaluate it, and so on? And the last point is how do you maintain the system and infrastructure? Because these systems can work for 20, 25 years, but you must do all the value chain. You must design correctly, install correctly, irrigate correctly, and maintain the system in the right way. And then you can really utilize the product and turn it from a product into a solution. So all of this technology in place based on different detailed planning and using smart irrigation. And of course, to complete something I said without saying it, drip irrigation is the most efficient method of irrigation in the world. It can reach up to 95% efficiency, meaning out of 10 drops, 9.5 drops the plant will utilize and absorb. But saying that, again, you need to know what you are doing when you implement drip irrigation in order to achieve optimal result. This is again Bundelkhand. We are looking to continue the work not only in the infrastructure, but also in the field level, and to do both the demonstrations and the training, and to achieve a full value chain approach. So the situation now in Bundelkhand is that we are moving into the feasibility study with a working group that we have in place. And with this, I finish. Thank you.
It was a very useful, informative presentation. And I hope that the similar kind of experiments and similar kind of experiences will happen all across the world. And we hope that Israel will be able to provide us with these technologies and with these approaches. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
we hope to see you soon in the ICID fraternity. We now have thank you. We now again have to change the order, and since Dr. Sikka has a meeting at 5 p.m., I will invite Mr. Alok Sikka, from the IWMI, for the presentation. Dr. Alok Sikka is with the Delhi office of IWMI, representative of India since April 2016. And prior to joining IWMI, he was Deputy Director General, ICAR, and technical expert. And he held various very important positions of the rank of Additional Secretary to the Government of India in various National Rainfed Area Authority, as well as in the research complexes of the Indian Council of Agriculture Research. He is a PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering from Utah State University, Utah. And he has also provided his academic help to the universities of Arizona and Oregon State University. And he has a very diverse 38 years experience in research, institutional and policy issues. So without much delay, I would invite Dr. Sikka to give his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pandya. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Dr. Sikka, you can make it in slideshow mode because it is there.
I'll put it in the slide mode. I was just trying to say that it is here. So now it's in the slide mode. So thank you, Mr. Pandya. Always pleasure to be there with ICID and especially with you, Mr. Pandya. So first of all, let me say good afternoon and good morning, and maybe in Australia, good evening. And thank President ICID, Secretary General for having given me this opportunity, and all the other fellow speakers. I see Dr. Dalwai, my old colleague from the Ministry of Agriculture. And nice to see you on the screen again, Dr. Dalwai. And so, first of all, let me congratulate you on the 72nd Foundation Day. And so that's really a very great achievement. And without going into more detail and audio, because I know that there are paucity of time, so what I'll do is that I'll start quickly with my presentation, and which is more on the what I was asked to speak was on, of course, on the agriculture water management, which is a theme on under difficult circumstances, and also covering something on the COVID. So I have tried to put two kind of climatic shocks and a risk. One is on the climate and another is on the pandemic. So once we talk about the sustainability of water management, because as we all know that it is really not sustainable, and to make it sustainable, there are so many things to be done. And particularly with the increasing water scarcity, a whole lot of economic growth is negatively being impacted, including the agriculture. And climate change is playing another serious dimension to that. Now, added to that was also now this recent pandemic, which we are still going through, second wave, third wave, whatever number of waves we call it about. And this also has been apprehension will be aggravating the already water stress situation. Perhaps yes, there are some marginal increase in only the demand watch. As we go along, I'll talk to you. So the thing is that how best we can try and look into, that's the topic of the day, the sustainable agriculture water management under this situation. So that's what I'll be talking to. And I think this is a slide which I'll not spend much of a time, because we know the climate change implications on hydrology and water resources, right from infiltration and groundwater recharge reduction because of the high rainfall events, infiltration, less opportunity time, more erosion, more sedimentation, but all these things, and again, very importantly, a high evaporative demand. So that's another thing, and which really increase gives another new dimension. And another issue is that how do we operate our existing irrigation infrastructure with the changing climate? Because with this, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen, the intensity, duration, frequency relationships are going to be changing. And again, under that scenarios, how do we allocate water and how do we protect our structures against the floods and droughts, and also particularly the fact that we have a lot of aging infrastructures in the irrigation system. So one way to look forward is that how best we can have a better AWM practices to try and look into that, at least to a certain extent, how best we can have a better water use efficiency and water management. This is just to highlight the water future for South Asia, because we all know, we all have been talking about that how much water we are using, and of course agriculture is consuming over 90% in the South Asia, and we know that the going forward 2/3 of all this 1 billion population which is going to be exposed to various sorts of extreme water related risk is going to be from India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Now I come to the points of, as I said, on the COVID, and then I'll touch upon the other hydrological extremes. Now, while going through some of the data, and as we have been seeing that because people were not moving out, there were no industries were shut down and commercial activities. So definitely there has been a perceptible increase in the water quality in the river systems, bearing aside one or two. And then again, at the same time, as I said earlier, because of the hand hygiene and sanitation improved requirement for the COVID, there has been an increased domestic water need, but it was kind of getting compensated also because there were no activities in commercial and industrial and other institutional sector, so it got compensated. What basically has happened is because of the labor and the market supply chain, and the Central Water Commission data on the reservoirs indicates that this last year there was a better storage still, and of course I would not relate only to this thing but also to the better rainfall and other situation as well. Now I'll walk you through few of the case studies and which we did. One in Odisha, where we have been working in district Cuttack and Ganjam, that how the farmers they perceive it. As I said, shortage of labor and irrigation is of course there, and then so the same situation, difficulty in market prices and availability. And what happened that how the agriculture water management, improved agriculture water management, what we were talking about, the demand side management. Like here, if you see through this set of slides, what we are trying to do is that even during this pandemic, when we have put this plastic mulching, we have done drip irrigation and soil moisture sensors, and the farmer has been trained how to use the soil moisture, handle soil moisture sensor-based irrigation. So all these things have led to a water saving, labor saving, and enhanced water productivity. So as a result, the farmer's perception is that they are so happy that they have saved not only water but also the fertilizer and electricity bill. These sensors were so easy for irrigation scheduling that could save the labor. So this has really attracted and made it more sustainable. Now, similarly, another case in the adjoining state of West Bengal, where we were working on a World Bank supported project on accelerated development of minor irrigation program. There also, when we have had a number of interviews with the farmers, of course, phone survey, the same general situation or the same market availability, labor availability, but the fact is that there was hardly any effect in terms of the access to water. And the water user associations which were formed, they have really acted pretty strongly and they have really controlled everything. So what Dr. Dalwai and the others were telling, if we have a good and vibrant water user associations, perhaps half of the problem gets solved. And so there were no access problem. Of course, there were some delays in collection of water user fees because the marketing of the produce and other things were kind of getting affected. So you can see even in this slide, this particular lady used the direct seeded rice and she had a better early harvest. So she couldn't even have any problem. Now I take you to another study which IMI is doing in Myanmar. In Myanmar, in some of this lift scheme, what we did we have created formulated water user association, and this association has helped withstand not only the COVID-19 situation, but also the drought situation which was there last year over there. And through this association, we have been able to repair some of these minor irrigation infrastructures. Farmers have diversified to high value food crops, and even they have been able to increase the total irrigated area. So all these things have been happening despite the below average rainfall and the pandemic situation. So farmers are so happy with all these kind of things that small water management interventions along with the water user association, they had the access to water whenever they needed it. I'll take you to Ethiopia in Africa. So here also we did some anecdotal study where we have tried to see that same situation as you say, market problem, input supply problem. But the most important thing is there's no significant effect on access to and use of the water for irrigation, neither for domestic use and the livestock because they have been using the same resource. Of course, so what happened that in some of the cases, some of the crops like garlic, they fetch even unexpected profits because they, there were a lot of thinking that by this thing, it helps build your immunity and COVID will not come to you and blah, blah, blah. So the bottom line is that this kind of anecdotal incidents suggest that investment in AWM has actually built the resilience not only for the climate change but also for the health related issues. Now this one which you see is really a very, very interesting field level exercise which ICAR has been doing, and I have been watching and talking to them since 2020. Now here, as you know, that the direct seeded rice is the one which saves labor, water and energy. And because of the out migration of labor from Punjab, Haryana and other places, and particularly in case of Punjab, that in 2020 Kharif, and so is even this year, most of them, there was unprecedented increase of the farmers going in for direct seeded rice because there was no labor. So this was a blessing in disguise. So that's kind of the reason that the direct seeded rice is one of the important agriculture water management practice has really been able to sustain the area and the productivity and also save water and the energy, and not at the cost of yield or the productivity level because water productivity is high. So the bottom line is that the field evidences, they clearly suggest the benefit of agriculture water management provided they are done in a very scientific manner, properly done in coping the risk and shocks via building resilience. Let me now go to the bigger system. This is a medium irrigation system with about 13,000 hectares in Maharashtra in Ahmednagar district, where we have been working, and after these two papers are also published in the water policy, where what has been demonstrated that in order to enhance the resilience of the irrigation canal command system, particularly in the semi-arid areas which are water-starved areas, if we go for one is the economic water productivity enhancement, and also look into the broader water influence zone, which goes even just besides the irrigation canal command area. So that way, if you see on the right-hand side of the table, that even with the minimum amount of consumptive water use, you can maintain the same level of value of output which was there even with a full-blown system when which was running in a normal year. So this means to indicate that if you have a crop combination in a way that you have, like in this case, orchard crop like pomegranate and fodder, and try and mix it in this kind of combination, what you see in the scenario A, B, and C, that normal year, about dry year, and the wet year. So the point is, the bottom line is that this is one way of trying to see that how best we can enhance the resilience of the irrigation canal command areas. Another thing, let me walk you through another thing which one of my colleagues from Colombo is doing. Right? This is the work he is doing right now in Afghanistan. It is just to demonstrate, that how best we can use digitally enabled tools for timely decision making in irrigation canal commands. So where we are using here the Sentinel data, Sentinel-2, which is high resolution, 10 meter. I mean, perhaps if the 10-meter resolution data is there, you don't need more than that even for agricultural crop planning. So that is something that how best we can look at the crop health monitoring we are doing based on this. And in the next slide, as you will see, that what is that based on that, all this red spots you see means where there is more water stress, plant are getting wilted. So how best then we can optimize the irrigation water use by applying water wherever it is needed, wherever there is a stress, reduce the labor, optimize the fertilizer consumption, and help increase the water use efficiency and the water productivity. So that is something that even in the case of pandemic or this kind of a situation where you cannot visit the field, this is going to come very handy for the policymakers and the managers. These are certain other tools which we have been developing, wide-based weather station and things like that. And the other issues are that in case of extremes, we have a high floods. So how best we can have a transferring the flood water to groundwater for irrigation like a managed aquifer recharge, which we have already demonstrated a number of in few places. Again, the other two hydrologic extremes of floods and the drought. Now, in case of drought, as you know, this is more disastrous and much more widespread as compared to the floods. Now here, we have developed something called a drought surveillance system. In India, we are working with ICIR. We have already validated it at a number of places. We are using the district level weekly advisories. And this is now being scaled up even to other parts of the world, in Afghanistan, in Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. So this is something that now we have come up with what we call it for the Afghanistan. We have developed early warning support tool. So these are all using the combination of the satellite data with other field information. And going forward now, here at a watershed scale, this is the tool which we have recently been working on, and very soon we'll be launching it, a drought proofing tool, which is based on water balance approach to try and see where what kind of interventions have we taken up in case of these extreme situations and also in the normal situations. Similarly, to overcome the floods, we know that flood is inevitable, so how best we can minimize the losses, how we can give some kind of a safety net. So we came up with the index-based flood insurance. And that product for the last 4 years we have been rolling out. Union Agriculture and Environment Ministries have been releasing those payouts. And now it is based on the satellite data together with the hydrological modeling. We have used here the hydrologic models, HEC. And we have also now transferred that product which we developed in India to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. And going forward, what we are doing, as we'll see at the bottom left-hand side, now we are going beyond insurance. We are trying to bundle the insurance with the drought and flood tolerant seeds and also agro advisories, so that way we minimize the risk, we minimize also the premium which the farmer has to pay for that. So this is another innovative thinking of bundling various products. So the final key message which I want to leave you with is that even though we have seen, at least in this part of the world, in our country, that there has not been any perceptible impact on water except in the wash sector, as I have mentioned already, but it's a high time we build up resilience to tackle such kind of future shocks and risks. And also, there are field evidences which have clearly suggested, as I have shared with you, that even for during this COVID situation, this kind of a better design, participatory agriculture water management practices, when we do it using water user association in a more participatory mode, they really help us in coping with such difficult situations. And as everybody was talking about, I always say we have to give a lot of emphasis on demand management. Of course, supply side augmentation has certain limitations, so demand management is in thing. But in order for demand management to happen, we need to have some
Dr. Sikka, we have lost your voice.
Wala na.
I think freeze okay, sir. We can ask Dr. Sikka, can you hear us? Yeah. He has to share it once. Close to it. Yeah. I think we have lost connection with Dr. Sikka. So at the end, I thank him very much for the nice presentation that he gave in respect of various resilience measures that are required for the water management in these kind of difficult circumstances, and then initiatives and technologies that are available. We are very much thankful for him to give this informative presentation. And now I will invite Mr. Kushvinder. He is the member water planning and projects in Central Water Commission and a very dear colleague who has been working in the fields of water management and water financing since very long time. He has got a very rich experience of financing various irrigation projects across the country and also planning for the water projects implementation. He will be speaking on the canal automation and modernization requirements in the irrigation and irrigated infrastructure, which is a very important measure for us to follow in order to see that when the manpower is in short supply, when the other resources are in short supply, we are able to maintain the required resources in the field. So I'll invite Mr. Kushvinder Vohra to make his presentation, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me to present.
Present slides show more.
Slides.
Full screen.
I think it is in full screen.
No, it's not in full screen.
Just a moment.
It is not in slideshow mode.
Just this. Is it coming now, sir?
Please continue. Please continue. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. Now is it full screen, sir?
Yes, yes. Yes. Now it's perfect.
Okay. So thank you very much, sir. First of all, many congratulations from my side and best wishes on the foundation day of ICID. And as you mentioned that it is also considered as a foundation day for INCID also. So sir, thank you very much for inviting me to present this from my side regarding the need for modernization of irrigation infrastructure. Sir, all of my previous colleagues and friends have actually spoken about water use efficiency, demand management, and various measures which are required to be taken in the irrigation sector. And I will be actually focusing more specifically on basically regarding the need for modernization, and then I will be talking one of the key aspect, efficiency, because in India, most of the states are reporting now that 90% of water is being used for irrigation, and efficiency is reported to be about 40% only. So this is a huge concern. If we can save some water from here, I think we can manage our water needs very well. So some of the things have my colleague Dr. Gupta has already spoken, and I will be hurrying up through that. Just to highlight over here that, sir, our potential, our surface water availability is 690 BCM. However, our potential to store the water is only 450 BCM, billion cubic meter, and the capacity presently developed is around 255 to 56 BCM, with additional 50 BCM which is expected from the ongoing dam. But there is an issue. that part we are losing from
Please share your screen once again. It will get active. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's coming now, sir. Okay. So this is one of the concern where we already have that one of our esteemed colleague has already talked that there is need for the storages to take care of the climate change scenario, because we have rainfall in mostly in 60 days these days. But one of the good news is that one of the presentation I was saying of Mr. Roni recently, he has indicated a probable rainfall in the future scenario up to 2000, say up to 2000, say 100. So he has mentioned that probably the monsoon will be better, so there will not be dearth of the water which is coming in monsoon. However, there will be spatial and time variabilities. So this issue we need to take care. Why there is a need to modernization, I will be just highlighting in this particular few more slides which I am going to share with you, sir.
You have to unmute yourself.
Please unmute yourself, sir.
Okay. Now can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear. So I will just go for slide. Okay. So we are by 2050 we will be needing around 1180 BCM for us. However, the annual water availability will be around 1123 BCM. But as we move through the slides, we will be able to see that this can be managed well if we keep on working like we are working, and plus do more which is required to be done. Because food grain requirement about 450 million metric ton, which is required by 2050, they can be met even within the present utilization factors, as I will show you in the next slide. Next slide. So here, fortunately, we have one of the largest agricultural land in the world, and it is more than China. And the net irrigation, net area under irrigation is 66 million hectare, which is equivalent to China as on today. But they are having more than 500 million metric ton of food grains from that, and we are having around 300 at present. It has increased since last year, despite the COVID, but then we are still far behind. So there is a scenario of ultimate irrigation potential, which is 140, and another 35 can be created through interlinking of river program, as Dr. Gupta said. Our potential utilization at present is 96.5 against what has been created, about 112. So there is a gap in IPC and IPU and low water use efficiency. This bring us basically the focus to bridging IPC IPU gap, which is around 16 million hectare at present, and also increase area under irrigation. In this, I have just tried to show the productivity for paddy, both in terms of land productivity and water productivity. This is one of the actually category which is using maximum water in the agriculture sector. So that is why I just wanted to highlight over there. Paddy is actually, if we are utilizing in India 980 millimeter of water for the paddy. However, as per FAO estimates, anything we should be able to produce enough rice with good productivity if we use about 400 to 700 millimeter with an average of 550 millimeter. So if we are able to rationalize our water uses in this particular category itself, we will be able to save around 109 BCM of water annually from paddy alone, which can bring another 20 billion hectare of area under irrigation and can give additional 71 metric ton of food grains. So we can see that if we are able to improve our efficiency in irrigation and especially in paddy, then we will be able to take care of our things. Now see over here that we are utilizing about 2800 liter of water for 1 kg of rice, whereas China is using 500 at present. So this is I just wanted to highlight that about the scenario of the water use efficiency what we are having today. Problem areas in the current scenario, I have just highlighted. Of course, the poor irrigation efficiency is there. 90% of water we are using for irrigation. So this is clearly a focus area for us. IPC IPU gap, we have to take care of that also. And then the major issue when we talk about water delivery in the through an irrigation system is basically tail end farmers never getting the water. So equitability and reliability is also a factor. Water productivity, low water productivity is also a factor. We are using more water than what is required. Aging structure, poor maintenance, then absence of our control and discharge regulating structures, especially near the farm outlets where we have to where we are releasing the water to the farms maximum. Also, there is another problem area is the concern that very few good sites have left for new projects. So it is very difficult to bring out the new dams and big irrigation system at present. However, if we are able to modernize our irrigation system, I think we will be able to take care of our food needs as well as future requirements. So that is what I just wanted to highlight, that this is basically primary need for modernization of irrigation system, and these are the areas where we have the concerns and we will like to work on those areas. Conveyance efficiency, we already talked. Our on-farm application efficiency all are very low, and in India it is said to be only 40%. Wherever if we are able to increase it, maybe another say 20% of efficiency, a lot of water will be available for further irrigation and other increasing need in other competing sectors as well. Micro irrigation, we will be talking the need of enhancing micro irrigation. Of course, Mr. Dalwai has already highlighted the need for increasing the pace of the irrigation, micro irrigation in the sector. Then, of course, cropping intensity and then equitable and service reliability, we already talked. Then it is all about water use efficiency studies. We actually, just because normally we quote that about 40% of water use efficiency is there. A study of 35 projects were conducted, and the total final studies which were available were for 34 projects. And this is the average scenario. This is the scenario which has outcome from these studies. And you can see that conveyance efficiency basically is ranging from 47 to 91%. Its weighted average is 68. So it's varying. And 50% of projects which were under study, they showed efficiency of conveyance efficiency less than 70%. Normally for the line canal system, it should be more than 70%. So what were the basic reasons which were identified for those studies have been listed over there. Basically in absence of canal lining or the damage in the lining. Maintenance was a huge issue. There was operation and maintenance issues which have been highlighted in those reports, which were actually the factor for the low conveyance efficiency. And then again, if we see the situation of the on-farm application efficiency, it is worse than conveyance efficiency is a little better place than that. And if you see the weighted average of this study, was about we were applying about 53%, and if we multiply these two efficiencies, of course we will be able to say that it is around say 36-38% of overall efficiency, keeping in view of these two factors. Although we have not taken into account the storage efficiency at the present and the drainage efficiency, we were not taken in the study. Still, if we see, there is which you can see. And in as far as on-farm efficiency is concerned, 56% of the projects under study showed efficiency less than 60%. Which should be around about, it is said that 60 to 65% in the furrow system of irrigation, which is mentioned in the CWC guidelines. This is I already talked overall water use efficiency, which has come up, and this is representing. We have shown the number of projects taken in these 7 states, which were basically taken up under the studies, and varying overall efficiency. We can see more efficiency UP and Uttarakhand projects has been reported. However, it depends upon the project we have chosen. It may not actually indicate the efficiencies which is spread over the entire state. However, it has given a fair idea to us that in India, in many means, if we take the weighted average, we are expecting an efficiency of 36%. However, it is varying from say 13% if you see one of the project in Haryana, and to 62% in one of the project in Telangana. So individual projects do vary. However, overall efficiency which these studies show was like that. Then we have actually conducted a lot of, in 28 projects we have done irrigation performance studies also. And objective was basically that whether the desired purpose was achieved, whether the water was equitably and given and timely available, and whether the proper system was functioning was proper, whether there is any variation in the planned cropping pattern, and what are the desired return which we plan. So we basically done those study on that. However, the performance evaluation studies which were conducted showed the results which are on the right side of our slide, which have mentioned that at many places there are significant seepage in many projects. Operation losses are there. Then lack of maintenance. Actually, we already in the previous study also it was highlighted that maintenance is a big issue. Inefficient system operation has been highlighted in this. Of course, there is an issue of low water rates and means lesser of its realization, which is in India because of the factors which are prevailing over here. So this is a big issue which we need to look into. Then absence of water measuring structure. That is one of the main thing. Actually, if we are able to measure the kind of water which is entering the farms of the farmers, we will be able to first actually do some baseline studies. And of course, we have taken up under National Water Mission some certain baseline studies for water use efficiencies in the country, which we'll be talking separately. Of course, the Water Users Association, it is said that Odisha is one of the pioneer with the Pani Panchayat. However, there are largely means capacity building issues are there in Water Users Association, and to make them really functional is a work in progress as yet. We cannot say that we are very successful in that. However, a lot of work is to be done, and this is the most promising area where we need to focus in the coming time, because this is the area where we will be able to look into all our issues related to the project. Then just to highlight that when we were studying the efficiency part and performance assessment part, there are all the separate part. How we can use the remote sensing techniques for such assessment. So we actually taken up 10 projects with the World Bank to carry on these studies. Basically, we have taken the objectives which has been taken in the World Bank study. They have actually identified about 9 parameters which were spread between the 9 factors they have taken, which were spread between these 3 categories, which is equitable access, productivity, and then availability of water within sustainable hydrological ecosystem. So these were the 3. And similarly, EU. With the EU also, we took up 3 studies of 3 projects. Now on the left side, 10 projects which we have taken. They are quite old projects, means completed long back. And in this study with the EU, we have taken 3 projects which were basically the project which have been recently completed. So we wanted to understand the performance of the old systems and the new systems. And similarly, similar equity, uniformity, adequacy, reliability, all these parameters have also been taken in the EU studies. Though in World Bank study, we have taken up actually more studies, and most of this study has been done on the evapotranspiration factor basis, actual, then potential, and then relative. So all these factors have been taken, and based on that, actually we have come up with certain findings in these 10 projects. We wanted to know how effective this study could be. Yes, and we found that these studies are very, very useful from a irrigation manager point of view, because we could not do the entire water use efficiency study through these particular studies, because a lot of physical data is required to be dovetailed into that for that. However, the kind of factors we found and the parameters we observed, they were sufficient to tell us about the performance of the projects and the gaps and area of concerns. So this is the finding of remote sensing study. We actually we talked about reliability, and we actually talked about water uniformity. Basically, in this all 10 projects, we found that water uniformity basically was found to be reasonable. However, reliability was a big issue, which was actually we have actually taken up reliability in terms of relative evapotranspiration, and which should be greater than 75%. However, in this particular study, it was converted into the number of days the reliable water was available. So it was found that this was not at all very satisfactory situation at all. Majority of project indicated poor uniformity, and then as well as that, then majority of the project also indicated less reliability. So this is what has been observed. However, on one front, this study proved that we are doing well is in terms of intensity of irrigation. So this study showed that in the older irrigation system, 10 projects we took, basically we are having a cropping intensity which is more than 2 in each case. So this was one of the findings which we could see from this study. Then this is basically we shown. The next, actually, before I go to the government initiative, for that, just I wanted to again focus that in recently completed projects, what we found was that cropping again in the recently completed projects, cropping intensity was again satisfactory. Was about 140%, which was as near to the design. And then desired adequacy. In this case, in this system, adequacy was basically a little better in the new projects. Rest of the parameter, of course, had been almost the same. What exactly we have been taking. So this clearly shows all these things, but what we are seeing have clearly shown that our water use efficiency and the performance of our projects in terms of in case of operation maintenance, or what we say, or in terms of water regulation, if we say in terms of water uses by various farmers, and other maybe other aspects of participatory management, they're all have bigger issues, and we need to look into those issues and work towards them. And of course, it also highlights the need that we should which should focus more on the irrigation modernization, because if by modernization, by saving water, as China is producing already 550 metric ton and we are producing 300 with the same kind of irrigation irrigated area, same 66 million hectare irrigated area. So if we go and improve this, we modernize our system, definitely we will be able to meet with the present irrigation itself the need of 2050, and which means that if we do well in that area, we will be of course we are exporting a little bit also still, but we will be the net exporter in a big way. So government has also been
Mr. Vohra?
Yes, sir.
Please, you'll have to speed up because we are already running very late.
Yeah, I will just finish. I will highlight only 1 to 2 lines in each slide, few government initiatives, and then I will, if somebody will like to know, I will be later able to give those more information about that. So the government which has been taking initiative in modernization, if we see that since 96-97 when we launched accelerated irrigation benefit program, through central assistance, we have taken up 40 projects and 32 of them have already been completed. Of course, we have released a central assistance of more than 3,000 crores and irrigation potential of 15 lakh hectare has been created through them. Of course, Dr. Gupta has also talked about use of UGPL in Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. We have taken up 99 projects for completion, out of which 44 have been completed. 26 of them are actually having underground pipelines actively. So many more projects are following that, and this is what basically is happening in PMKSY IBP, which is saving a lot of cost of land acquisition and also time which is required for the land acquisition. There is a pilot project on Sardar Sarovar project. About 750 meter of canal has been covered with the solar panels, and 1 megawatt of power is being generated. So let us see the potential. Total 19,000 kilometer of network is there in this project itself, which can produce 2,000 megawatts. So this kind of initiative we need to promote, which in one way will also increase the green energy, and at the same time we'll be able to utilize get the more returns from the irrigation projects. Some automation also we are working, canal automation we are working in a smaller way in various barrages, dams. There are 5 stages of say SCADA and canal automation. Out of that, most of the time we are working in first, second and third stage. This canal automation project in Narayanpur left bank canal in Karnataka, this is actually envisaging all the 5 stages. So we will be having right from having all the data with us, not only the data acquisition, it will be talking about the interaction with the farmers, who will be able to place their requirements through this system, and they may be able to get it in time. So reliability factor, time factor, adequacy factor, this is what is envisaged in the project. And in the future, we will be evaluating this project. This is going to be completed in a year or so by December 21, and we will be evaluating the process, how we go to replicate it elsewhere in the India. Command Area Development Program under Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, which was launched in 2015-16. We have actually modernized some of the field water use applications. And if you see that number of water user association have been formed, more than 7,700, and we have 1/3 of area which was taken up has already been completed. It's a huge central assistance and cost we'll be investing, and all this is going to be completed in the next say three years time. Padra more crop, Dr. Dalwai has also talked about it, Dr. Gupta has also talked about it, and other colleagues have also talked about it. Our colleagues from Israel also, and they have already see huge potential because potential is 69 and we are actually at 14 million hectare as on today, and in another 10 million hectare in the next 5 years. However, as Dr. Dalwai said, that 2 million hectare per year needs to be increased. However, it is heartening that 2 states, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, have actually dedicated micro irrigation projects, organization dealing with this subject, and lot of progress we are seeing in these two states. Experience in Narmada Canal project, if you see, almost we are able to cover initially when the project was planned and when it was fully thought to be covered under micro irrigation. Our area has actually increased by 2 times. So command area has increased by 2 times with the same water available, which is coming from Narmada Canal in Gujarat and coming all the way to Rajasthan. So it was better thought that it should be best utilized, and it is fully on micro irrigation, and the benefits you can always see how many number of more villages we are able to provide drinking water, irrigation, and income for food production of the farmers in the area has increased to 3 times. This is the management approach in Madhya Pradesh state, and it indicates that in 5-6 years, actually, they have bridged their IPC IPU gap. What intervention they have taken? They have basically taken mainly the initiative that tail end farmers will get the water first. They repair their system, small miners, distributaries, as the system conveyance system, which is taking the water to the field. They did a lot of work on that, and IPU, which was 30% somewhere in 2009-10, has actually by 16-17 has increased to 85%. Of course, some potential creation has happened. However, there is a leap jump in the irrigation potential utilization, and fruit grain has actually grown 300% time. That is what is reported by Madhya Pradesh. So we can see that if we try to modernization in a small way also, focusing on the tail end system and the water which is being is going to the fields, if we manage our system well, we can really increase the water productivity. Then we will be having soon a new scheme on incentivization of scheme for bridging irrigation gap, which we talked earlier. This is the area of concern, and we will be covering 50 lakh hectare maybe in the next 5 years once the scheme is under consideration of the government. Then we are actually in the modernization. We have opened up a center for excellence in Central Water Commission with the help of ADB is actually helping us in this particular project, and we will be taking up about 4 projects. 4 projects in this is the first batch. Actually, 57 projects all over India. Many states have actually sent us for this particular program. However, this program, since in the first phase it is a pilot kind of, we have limited our the ADB has limited the scope project, which is about 4 projects, and we have already gone through evaluated all the 57 projects and zeroed on about another 4 projects, and then another 6 projects we have kept in the reserve to be taken up. So the next stages we will be taking up in next say 3-4 years time. First stage will be making a plan, modernization plan, and then the stage of DPR, and then the funding by ADB and actual implementation on the ground. So we will be looking forward for this particular intervention, where a center of excellence will be established in Central Water Commission, which will be having expertise in the irrigation modernization program, and will be able to guide the states in formulating proper DPRs as well as taking forward their projects in respect of the for the modernization. In the conclusion, if we see that of course government initiative and people initiative, if the involvement comes, then we really see that we can do much more in the irrigation management sector and increase the water use efficiency. Of course, judicious use of water, we have already talked about that. But then water stress, we are already talking. However, what we mean by water stress over here is we are basically having due to climate change or other factors, there is a spatial and time variations in the what we say rainfall. That is and for that matter, but the rainfall is not going to be less as predicted by a particular study. So the only thing is we have to catch up the variability of that. We are having catch the rain where it is, when it falls. We are already having a campaign for that, and number of initiatives throughout India, maybe on micro scale, maybe in medium scale, or maybe in the major scale, are being planned in various sectors under the water conservation through various programs. So basically, improving the performance of irrigation projects is vital. And even if we focus on that only, demand side management and this factor, if we focus, then there is not going to be any problem whatsoever. There is by 2050 also we will be comfortable in meeting our needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raji. And now we have Egyptian National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage, Dr. Gamal Elkassaar, Director of WMRI-NWRC and Deputy Chairman of INCID. He will be speaking on the need for branch canal rehabilitation and modern irrigation systems. Since we are, of course, very badly out of time, I would request him to kindly conclude his presentation in about 10 minutes.
Okay, sir. Good morning, everybody. I am Gamal Elkassaar, the Director of WMRI, and it's my pleasure to be with you from Cairo. I'm trying to upload.
I think
is it clear now?
Yeah, it is done.
You can make it full screen.
Okay. Yes, please. Actually, I hope to be able to just to take a glance to the two mega projects running now in Egypt. I take this opportunity to highlight some output for them. First, it is the need for rehabilitation, the mega rehabilitation for the branch canal, which will lead to widening the system even in all the land. So the Egyptian Committee and the Institute with the Center, National Water Research Center, is on managing the project with the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation. And just to highlight the importance and what is the situation now and why the Egyptian side has been going through this two mega projects at the moment to face the challenges which will be given now. As a challenge in the water sector in Egypt, of course, the growth of population, the need for to have self-sufficient food, the problem of urbanization, the socio-economic development as normal as a countries, the consequences and the situation with the climate change. Actually, Egypt now, mainly in the last 2 or 3 years, you can definitely see the problem of climate change. The water needs has been changed from time to time. Planting dates has been changing. That's why we've been on the neck of the situation to allocate precise water demand for each crop. Of course, we do need to minimize the gap between available and demand of fresh water.
Change the slide and make it in the slideshow mode. Then it will be better visible.
It is in the slide mode. Is it?
No, it's not in slide mode.
Is it? Sorry, but I can see it.
Only the first slide. We are seeing the first slide only.
A.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's not moving with you?
No, it was not moving with us.
Now we are seeing that map of Egypt.
Now it's okay. Now it's moving.
Moving?
Yeah.
can you see the plan of Egypt? Is it okay now?
Yeah, we can see the plan.
No, it's okay.
Okay, sir. Egypt, in glance, it is about 1 million square kilometers with 110 million population, agricultural land about 3.7 million hectares. As you can see, this is the challenge we are facing at the moment. The water demand per capita is decreasing. If you can see, comparing between 1960 up to 2020, this is now the figure. Can you imagine? In 1960, per capita it was 2,700 cubic meter. Now we've been down up to 530, which is this is one of the mega challenge at the moment. If we can have a look about in general about water resources in Egypt, of course, as a semi-arid country and in such a region, we have one source of water which is taken 55.5 billion cubic meter, which about 97% of our water coming from outside as a renewable water from the Nile. The remaining 3%, which is just renewable water, either from some shallow groundwater with some rainfall. And this is, as you can see, this is one of the challenge, mega challenge for the fresh water. That's why you can see everywhere in Egypt to reuse of drainage water after treatment and so on. So total water demand, which is about 114 billion cubic meter per year. How we import as virtual water, like 34 billion cubic meter in a type of crops and whatever, and the available fresh water as we said before, like 59.2 billion cubic. So the remaining gap is still 21 billion cubic meter, and this gap, as I said, we'll try to minimize and close it by using the drainage water reuse and using of the shallow groundwater. That's why we do need to change the situation of the habits of the old farming from the traditional surface farming to widen the experience of modern irrigation system. So how we do such to face such challenges? As I said, now we are moving very fast for the improvement and rehabilitation project either in branch canal, tertiary canals, Mesca, Merwa, and whatever different levels of operation, using the solar energy and the renewable energy for operation different activities of irrigation systems, going for surface, subsurface, and reuse project, water project in the drainage sector, using new technologies in allocating water demand, water management. As I said, we're using remote sensing, water accounting strategy, moving to precise calculation for water needs, as I said, to face this issue of climate change and so on. Protecting our fresh, flash flood and water harvesting. Mainly, we have some flash floods in Red Sea or in the North Coast. We trying to capture and to keep such water as well. Of course, moving, as this is the second mega project running at the moment, which is moving to the modern irrigation systems, even in old land. And the new system, which we are now testing, it is to widen the smart irrigation systems. Here I can mention as my institute, for example, is now testing the, in some about 5 acres, a complete and automated smart irrigation system, to give an example to the private sector mainly to widen and use such new strategy for irrigation. As maybe this is, you can see some of the project like before and after at the moment of such rehabilitation of the canal. This is one of the canal in Middle Delta. This is before and after rehabilitation. Even we modernize and we try to minimize the losses. Even we do re-innovation even in the distributory level as well, to improve the mesca either to be like or whatever branches, even to put it in pipes to minimize losses and to improve the efficiency. Using satellite energy, this is at one of our research station in Wadi Natron, West Delta, and I can mention here that most of the private sector, even in such areas, is using the solar system for their operation of the irrigation system, which is very good. Some of the techniques at the moment running in the research station and also in different parts of like the new mega project for rehabilitation areas to use such satellite and such solar system for operating even the ground water wells. This is how we are moving even as a research at the moment, still at the research station where we do calculating and automated system for the smart irrigation. This is some of the inputs we are doing in our research farms in Water Management Institute. Even to calculate the water distribution using the satellite image with more precise, even the cropped area as well. Some of the application for subsurface irrigation, I hear some of my colleagues been mentioning now the subsurface irrigation. In Egypt, we are being tried in 3 years now at research stations and also in some farms. We're using 2 types of system for subsurface irrigation, which either by leaking pipes or by under drip irrigation, which both of them is working fine. But we found the direct drip irrigation under surface is more better and more efficient. Even some crops has been the yield has been improved. Many vegetables, for example, in a new area using the subsurface irrigation system. We're using the new technology as well to treat the saline groundwater, such magnetic instrument, where we have some wells, for example, has been reached 7,000 ppm. So at direct we cannot use for cultivation. So when we use such instrument for as a magnetic tool, maybe I can send the details of it if it is not clear for you. It's been able to minimize or to remove, as we can remove the salt away from the H2O, the water, so crop can benefit from it. So being tested, and even I hear some of the private sector as well in West Delta is using this instrument for the outputs of their ground wells. Even to improve the groundwater wells, we've been using like a fish farm. Before giving water to the land, we've been using for fish farming. As you know, such fish farming, we renew water every day by 30–40%. So we prepare a code, what amount of water you need for such fish farm, and what if you have such area to use in your area as output from such water coming out from the fish farming. So the output was very good. So you gain fish and you gain crops. In the meantime, you minimize using your fertilizer because you have nitrogen coming out with such water. We tested in our research session and we found it very well. And even some of the farmers have been doing the same using their groundwater as well. I highlighted such new techniques. Maybe if you need more details, I can send for such project individuals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gamal Elkassaar. It was an interesting presentation looking at the water efficiency and improvements that can be brought in the existing systems. We have got a request from Dr. Yella Reddy, Vice President Honorary, for 5 minutes for making a presentation regarding the oncoming Congress. So I'll request Dr. Yella Reddy to kindly present his case in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Secretary General. Am I audible?
Dr. Gamal, you stop your sharing your screen so that it can be used by Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy, you are audible.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. And first of all, I congratulate all of you on the eve of 72nd Foundation Day, all our international participants here. And during this COVID time, it's happening virtual mode and with very important theme, sustainability of agricultural water management under difficult scenarios. As a part of this, in fact, I'm not going to be talking anything. We learned a lot from eminent speakers. But now I want to invite you all and welcome you all to 25th ICID Congress and the 75th IEC meeting, which is going to happen in India in 2023.
Share your screen.
My screen is shared?
No.
Okay. 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 Please. 1 second. Can you see the screen now?
No, we are not able to see your presentation. We are able to see just a blank screen.
Okay, just wait. I'm screening. Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Reddy.
So
what we'll do, we have your presentation. We'll just share screen from our side.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. We are sharing from our side.
That's fine. Yeah. Could you get it?
Yeah, we are just uploading that. It takes.
Okay. I thank the Secretary General and the President and all the President's Honorary and Vice Presidents, all international audience there for this opportunity, because we are going to conduct this event, the 25th ICID Congress and 75th International Executive Council meeting in India in 2023. This is a rare combination. 25th means a Silver Jubilee Congress, and then we are going to have the Platinum Jubilee IEC. Having both events at one time, that is very rare, and it is a real opportunity for all of you to visit India that time, because this is going to happen in Andhra Pradesh. Why we are conducting Andhra Pradesh? Because Andhra Pradesh is one newly formed state, because it's bifurcated in 2014, and it's a rice bowl of India. It is called as rice bowl of India. And next slide, please. Can you go to next? Yeah. And we conduct important events in ICID Congress, which happens once in 3 years, and the World Irrigation Forum, which happens once in 3 years. And also we have periodically micro irrigation congresses and also international drainage workshops. These congresses which are happening once in 3 years. It happened last time in India. It was in 1966. Can I see the increase? I'm not able to.
You're audible.
I'm audible now. Okay, just let me check.
You are audible, Dr. Reddy, you are audible.
Go ahead.
Yeah, fine. Fine. And in fact, India has been host for many events earlier also, where we conducted the Congress. Last was 1966, and in 2019 we had also conducted a micro irrigation Congress. So by considering the fact that the Congress happened in 1966, we have the event here. So our government of India, through government of Andhra Pradesh, came forward. Our Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy garu, and he gave the support. The letter has gone, and IEC has approved this one event. That's how it is going to happen in 2023. And before that, I would like to tell that in the last year, India has almost led the world in terms of number of awards. World Heritage Irrigation Structures. Today, a lot of presentations have been made on water resource structures, etc. And we have a unique thing in ICID, appreciating the world irrigation structures which are more than 100 years old and giving international recognition, world heritage. Like that, last time India and China, they topped. India got 4 awards. Out of 4, 3 got for Andhra Pradesh, India, and 1 for Maharashtra. And we also got WhatsApp award for farmer category to India, and also best paper award for our paper published in the Irrigation and Drainage Journal. So this is really great year for India, though in COVID it happened. So this the encouragement from the government to prepare the projects, and our Central Water Commission, our Indian National Committee, they supported our cause, and we received so many number of awards. Next, please. And this mainly happened because of our young Chief Minister of the state, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, who immediately gave all the consent, financial support, administrative support, all that. And this is the Andhra Pradesh state, which is having almost 974 kilometer coastline, beautiful coastline we have, Bay of Bengal coast. And Vizag is the place where the Congress and IEC is going to happen. And this state is called as the Rice Bowl of India. And we have the Telugu is the name of language, this one mother tongue, but Vizag has a cosmopolitan atmosphere, so there is no issue. And Visakhapatnam, particularly, it is called in the country as Visakhapatnam. Internationally, it is called Vizag. The city is 6th century BCE. Okay, we have historical city, that one, and a modern city. Now it is called as one of the cleanest cities of India, and it's contributing for very good GDP for the country. It's 9th largest, and it has a very headquarters of Indian National Eastern Command, and South Central South Coast Railway Zone also there. And you can see the climate. This is planned for first week of November 2023, where the climate is going to be very pleasant for international audience, international participants, and we have moderate climate and good relative humidity, and you have long beaches, clean city. I personally, as a member of ICID family for more than 1.5 decades, so I have pleasure inviting all of you to come to this place. This historical thing, Silver Jubilee Congress and Platinum Jubilee IEC going to happen, and we are going to celebrate in a big way that event. And this is a welcome from India. Okay, I take opportunity on behalf of India, our Indian National Committee, and also Government of Andhra Pradesh, Government of India, to extend warm welcome. And we are going to make in a big way. This is just an invitation I want to send you in advance. And we will be preparing now in a few months. The first announcement, everything will come. And this is final. I want to thank our ex-Chief Minister, Rajshekar Reddy, who was responsible for the micro irrigation spread in this country. AP micro irrigation project. When he was CM, he was the one who initiated that in large way. And of course, Chandrababu Naidu also contributed. And that made me to receive ICID WhatsApp Technology Award in Lahore Congress. So due to that reason, today I want to pay back to this society, this international institution by conducting this event. This is my warm welcome to all of you. With these few words, I thank you everyone. Secretary General, I completed. Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for giving a nice introduction to the future venue of the Congress. And now this brings us to the end of the today's webinar on the sustainability of agriculture water management. I am highly thankful to all the presenters, especially President Dr. Ragab, Mr. Dalwai, Dr. R.T. Gupta, Mr. Vohra, Dr. Sikka, Mr. Dan Alluf, Mr. Momir, Rainfed, Gamal, Elkassaar, and Yella Reddy for having made nice presentations and made a very valuable information available to the community in general. I am also thankful to President Honorary Dr. Nairizi, President Honorary Dr. Felix Renders, and our Vice Presidents Honorary Ian Makin, as well as Yella Reddy and other and Irina Bondari for having made it convenient to attend this webinar. We are indeed grateful. We would had we been in a better circumstances, we would have met physically, but then now we have to, of course, handle the situation as it is obtaining today. I'm highly thankful to all of you, and we conclude this webinar at this point of time. And it will indeed be a pleasure for all of us to see you at African Regional Congress, which is going to come in November 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, and thank you for the office to organize such a wonderful day.
Thank you everybody. And
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. May I get one minute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niazwar is myself. Yeah. I am from Nepal, and I'm working in a Department of Irrigation, and there is one branch, Irrigation Water Management Division, and I am DDG over here. It's a very great opportunity for me to participate in this prestigious forum. Regarding this concerned topic, the sustainability of agriculture water management under difficult circumstances, we are also facing the same things. And what we observe as a management division chief, if we could manage the things in a conservation and development as well as management infrastructures and network in a planning phase, if any, the new project for the new project, and in this regard, we have to incorporate this management sector. Otherwise, what we learn that we develop only, and then after development, then management is there. So there is a big gap. So efficiency at the farmers field level, it is in our country it is 30 to 35% on farm water management efficiency, and in canal also. So lot of water we are abusing rather to using that. And in this regard, the awareness also at the very beginning, the farmers and WUA are the concerning stakeholders. They have to be very much informative, and we have to work on that about the water availability, volume of the water, and time and schedule, and they can choose the crops and all. And accordingly, we have to make them very transparent to do the cropping activities. And this is the big challenge for future food habit also. What is going to be? Yeah, these sorts of things I learned a lot in this prestigious forum. Thank you very much. If you could again think in that way, that maybe work better. Thank you very much for giving the time.
Thank you. Thank you that you made a good case for your country. Nepal has a special circumstances, and we are very happy that we were able to give you the opportunity to express your views. If you need any further help from the ICID, we'll be very happy to provide you on this difficult aspect.
Thank you very much.
At the conclusion, I will once again thank all of you for. Dr. Ragab, would you like to address? Would you like to conclude? I don't know.
President Ragab, can you provide us your concluding remarks, please? Please unmute yourself.
We are unable to hear you.
Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah, I would like to thank the Central Office for organizing such wonderful day. And I would like to thank all the speakers for highlighting a very important issues like improving water use efficiency and mitigating the COVID impact on food production. We had really a good array today of several management of water in order to produce more from less water resources. And those projects that we have seen today and the experiments that we shared with the speakers are really quite useful for the participants to get some lessons to take home and also to improve the water and food security. It was a wonderful day, and it was really a good way to celebrate the 72nd anniversary of ICID. I would like to thank you all, and I hope that we'll meet again on the 73rd anniversary with more progress made in the area of water and food security. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Hi, President, Honorable Felix, and Dr. Nairisi, and Mr. Gopala, our Secretary General, Honorable, all of them. Thank you very much.
Okay. Secretary General, we could not see Felix on video. Allow to see Felix. I could not see him. So it is a real occasion. We missing all members seeing at least even virtual mode also.
Yes.
Well,
Secretary General Honorary Gopala Krishnan is also with us.
Yeah, I am with you all, and it is such a pleasant event and so well organized despite odds. And I congratulate on this ICID day the immense contribution of every one of you, and particularly the Central Office in having done a very marvelous job going virtual. Great day. Thanks, Secretary General. And more than anything, thank you, Mr. President Ragab. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gopala Krishna. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. Dr. Thate is also there. He was there rather in the beginning, of course. Now I don't.
President Ragab,